This is Campus News, reporting the top stories from colleges and universities.
Next on Campus News, UND students ditch a stereotype and ban fraternity drinking.
See why these MSU Moorhead Dragons got their drag on.
The MSUM men's basketball team is teaching these young dragons how to dribble.
And see how a group of friends are spending their golden years reliving childhood memories. Hello and welcome to Campus News. I'm Chelsea Smith.
And I'm Laura Lee Lofsgaard. In 2009, UND was considered one of the top party schools in the nation by the Princeton Review.
But now the university's Greek houses are cleaning up their image and putting a stop to partying. Reporter Ezra Vandenighty has more from UND.
With most of the students in class, the fraternities at UND are quiet during the day. And with a new policy in place, they plan to remain quiet into the night.
The way that I understand it to be is that they have a zero tolerance policy. The enforcement goes to the Friday of finals week. That's the end of the semester.
The Interfraternity Council, which oversees all of UND's fraternities, has decided to ban partying in all of the school's Greek houses for the remainder of the semester. This means no minors and no one who is not a member of the house will be allowed to drink there.
It's a good idea. It's them reacting, kind of taking control of themselves.
People might look at it as a negative thing, but the reality is that it's an extremely positive thing. A lot of people think it was our administration that is doing this because we're being punished for anything, but that's not the case at all. It actually is a bunch of UND students acknowledging a possible problem and finding the best way to fix it.
Their decision to restrict partying followed recent noise violations, streaking, and a train accident resulting in the death of a student. Even though the policy ends after the semester, the fraternities plan to keep partying to a minimum in the future. UND officials are pleased to see their students taking action.
They've taken upon themselves to sort of self-police, if you will. So as an administration, we're proud of the students for the leadership they're showing.
Reporting in Grand Forks, this is Ezra Vandenighty, Campus News.
According to UND authorities, the university's sororities already have a zero tolerance for alcohol. Starting next fall, North Dakota State University students will be considered full-time when taking 15 credits per semester. This change encourages students to take more credits in order to graduate in 4 years.
If you take 12 credits, there's no way to graduate in 4 years. If you take 15, you're set so that you can graduate in 4 years.
And that's exactly what NDSU is doing. The university has been approved for a 15-credit standard for students. Student Body President Cam Knutson says the change is positive and students who are taking less than 15 credits per semester should consider their options.
There's no way to graduate in 4 years. You're going to have to go past the 4-year period and assume all the increased costs of that extra year of college and living, everything that comes with being a college student for an additional year.
One student says it's important to take more credits, especially in the first couple years of college.
I definitely would recommend taking more credits than you have to get them out of the way your first couple years before you get into the classes for your major, which are usually a lot more difficult.
Knutson says the changes won't bring a large increase in tuition costs.
If this was going to dramatically increase the cost per students, there's no way we would favor this, and I don't believe the State Board of Higher Education would favor it either.
I think it is a good thing to implement. It'll definitely encourage people to take 15 credits at least.
The change to a 15-credit standard will begin next fall.
Students who don't take 15 credits will still be able to receive student loans and financial aid. NDSU honored victims of sexual assault in a memorial called the Clothesline Project. Students, staff, and faculty wrote messages on 60 shirts for local victims and hung them up for display in the Memorial Union Gallery. The hope was to raise awareness about sex crimes in the community.
I just hope that people can come in and see the impact that sexual assault has and can be a little bit more informed. We have a lot of information available to anyone who comes in.
The Clothesline Project is a worldwide effort that began in 1990. There are about 500 projects in 41 states and 5 countries.
On June 27, 1995 in Mason City, Iowa, TV news anchor Jody Huisentruit disappeared. And with no leads on the case in 2001, police declared her dead. Jody's colleague Beth Bednar has written the book Dead Air, which she hopes will trigger some new leads in the case. And she came to speak at MSU Moorhead.
I mean, wouldn't it affect you if a colleague at another TV station in the area was abducted? I mean, that was like a kick in the gut to me.
Students and faculty packed the room to hear Bednar discuss the book, share writing tips, and answer questions from the audience.
She asked if it was still an open case. In the police department, they will still give lip service to the fact that yes, the Jody Huisentruit investigation is still an open case. However, you can't tell me that on any given day the Mason City Police Department is spending even 5 or 10 minutes of time on the Jody Huisentruit case when they got the here and now to deal with.
Students gave Bednar's speech top ratings.
It was interesting to just hear like a little bit more of the facts and like the research that went into this investigation and writing the book.
Police have conducted more than 1,000 interviews relating to Jody's disappearance. None has resulted in conclusive evidence pointing towards a suspect. After decades as a student and then a professor at MSU Moorhead, Dr. Dennis Jacobs will retire at the end of the semester.
Jacobs not only teaches about sustainability, he lives it every day. Reporter Bryce Haugen brings us to the professor's innovative home in Lakes Country.
Converting a gas-guzzling Volkswagen bus to electric.
This is my electric motor, so it's a nice system.
This is the type of thing Dennis Jacobs does in his spare time. In the dense backwoods of rural Becker County, this longtime professor is gradually creating a carbon-neutral paradise. He built his isolated cabin with his wife, MSU Moorhead sociology professor Karen Brandon, more than 2 decades ago.
The walls are a foot thick, super insulated. All of the wood here is local lumber. We've got nothing from West Coast, nothing from the rainforest. Stones are right in our yard here, or from the local stone mill. So everything is local.
That's what we believe, and we try to live that way. And I think sustainability's sexy too, so especially in old guys.
I see. Okay.
Up on their rooftop, black plastic panels capture solar energy. That heats water that flows into an indoor pool. This stores energy for the home, cutting costs and its carbon footprint. Using a book he and Brandon wrote together, Jacob shares his passion with the next generation of students. That includes sustainability major Tom Brenner, who says Jacobs inspired him to take energy issues seriously.
It's good to have a professor who is knowledgeable and gives you good facts about the issues instead of you going online and reading whatever propaganda piece you're most intrigued by.
Any teacher, doesn't matter if you're kindergarten on up, it's I think your legacy is your students.
Bryce Haugen, Campus News.
I want to be well documented.
Even though he's retiring, Jacobs has a long list of sustainability activities in the works. Perhaps his most ambitious project includes a passion of his, flying. He's teaming up with 2 MSUM students to build an electric airplane.
So we'll start testing it probably the end of June, and should have enough data on it so I know it'll go up in the air by July.
Jacobs will continue to teach for the next 2 fall semesters on a part-time basis. The sustainability major he helped start is the newest at the university and the first of its kind in the region. Want your voice to be heard on the issues you think are affecting North Dakota? This is now possible thanks to a research team at NDSU. Wilder Research, based out of St. Paul, is partnering with NDSU to develop a website called the North Dakota Compass. The site will provide data on the economy, aging, youth, health, and housing for the state. It hopes to offer people bold solutions to the problems they think are affecting North Dakota. NDSU researchers encourage you to become active in this new website. For more information on the website, go to ndcompass.blogspot.com.
With graduation just around the corner, reporter Callan Klein finds out how MSU Moorhead seniors are preparing to trade in that case of senioritis for a briefcase as they enter the real world.
In just a few short weeks here at MSUM, seniors will be saying goodbye to these hallways. And we'll be saying hello to their bright and exciting new futures.
I have purchased my cap and gown, yeah. My mom was so excited.
Caps, gowns, and the million-dollar question.
Family and friends are constantly asking you, what are you gonna do after you graduate?
For those who don't know that answer, graduation can be a scary time, but that's not stopping seniors from taking their college knowledge and moving forward.
I think I'm ready to move on though.
But I think it's preparing me to, I don't know, just for the next step.
But MSUM junior Taylor Peterson has a whole nother year before moving on to that next step. And he says he won't be letting graduation stresses get to him anytime soon.
I guess I've never been one to start freaking out about a lot of anything. So we'll worry about it when it's real close to it. But next May, is that when we graduate? I don't know, yeah.
But for those graduating this May, landing their dream job fresh out of college might be tougher than they think.
nobody knows. I mean, like, the job market's so tight, and so most of us, I mean, if nothing else, wait tables till something comes along, you know.
For those of you who don't want to wait tables while you wait for your perfect job, here's just a few tips on how to be the best hire you can be.
Number 1, brand yourself. Be clear about who you are and what you can offer. Number 2, take words such as and like out of your vocabulary. And number 3, be personable. If people like you, they're more than likely to want to help or maybe even hire you.
Yeah, after 5.5 years, it's going to be a good feeling to actually grab a degree and walk away from it all. So I plan on having a little celebration after.
This is Callan Klein, Campus News.
And good news for graduates, the National Association of Colleges and Employers found that companies plan to hire about 10% more college graduates this year compared to last year's class.
Environmental justice is a term many may not be familiar with. Some might think it only has to do with the environment, but that's not the case. Environmental justice expert Julie Z visited MSU Moorhead in hopes of making people aware of the true nature of this issue. Z says environmental justice is a social movement that responds to racial inequality. She talks about how people of color are often exposed to pollution more often than other groups. Z says people should care about environmental justice because it's part of our ethical obligation.
A lot of the environmental costs in this country are not shared equally, and that even if you're not directly living in a community that's heavily polluted, it's still, your responsibility and your ethical, stance to know about how you're connected to that system.
Since the 1980s, environmental justice has been developed into a set of policies, both at the state and federal level.
2 different clubs at MSU Moorhead joined together to put on a surprising event. Part of it was silent and part of it was loud. Noor Alamran shows us how these 2 clubs collided.
It was a normal afternoon in MSUM. That is until the unexpected happened. The American Sign Language Club and the Glee Club came together to put on a flash mob, which included singing, dancing, and signing. Students that were in the event enjoyed this unique performance.
It was just amazing just to see it, and just having them experience that is amazing as well.
I really enjoyed watching it.
For some, it was their first experience being a part of a flash mob.
It was really nerve-wracking at first. I was like, oh crap, okay, it's going on. I hope I don't forget my signs or sign a different song. But I pretty much just got tunnel vision and stared at an empty chair and maybe glanced at people. But it was really exhilarating. I want to do it again, but top it next year.
Even though it wasn't your usual flash mob, it still got the loud cheers from the audience. With photographer Shoko Akiyama and Steve Kim, Noor Alamran, Campus News.
In 2008, more than 25 cities around the globe participated in the first International Flash Mob, which was the world's largest to date. 2 MSU Moorhead alumni have come together to create a literary magazine they call Knockout. Brett Ortler and Jeremy Hallinan recently released their 4th issue of the magazine. It's mostly filled with poetry. The 2 say they try to publish a 50-50 mix of works by both gay and straight writers, something they believe most magazines do not do. Knockout publishes pieces by big-name poets as well as anyone else interested in allowing the public to view their work. Those interested can submit their work at Knockout's website, www.knockoutlit.org. The magazine can also be purchased on the site for $12. A topic that not many people talk about is taking center stage at MSU Moorhead, but in a way that is rather unique.
Reporter Rista De Serrano tells us about an event that is spreading suicide awareness throughout campus.
What you are seeing are not your average runway models. MSUM put on a drag show in order to spread suicide awareness, specifically to students who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered, or questioning. Many students were excited about this event and what it means to the LGBTQ community. Throughout the night, a variety of acts performed on stage, from singing to dancing, and even improvisation from audience members. For student Eric Morris, this meant his first exposure into the world of drag.
I think the crowd is so awesome tonight. I think that they're so into it. It's just so exciting. This is my first drag show ever. So it's just really nice to see a good crowd come out and support us.
One of the organizers was moved at how the crowd turned out.
I got tears in my eyes when the first performance happened and just the way that people participated and connected.
Due to high turnout, the drag show is expected to return next year. Aristide Serrano, Campus News.
Nearly a dozen students took the stage to strut their stuff. MSU Moorhead held its second annual volleyball tournament and barbecue for Suicide Awareness Week. The Dragon Entertainment Group served up burgers and hot dogs while students bumped, set, and served volleyballs. Teams ate and played throughout the afternoon. The money raised by the event benefited First Link of Fargo and the local chapter of American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention shows the national suicide rate has continued to increase over the past 15 years, making it the 10th leading cause of death in the United States.
8 MSU Moorhead students have earned national recognition and honors in St. Paul. It was part of the 2012 National Association for Campus Activities Northern Plains Conference. The Dragon Entertainment Group won the Outstanding Delegation Award, which is given to the school that participates in all aspects of the conference. That includes attending educational sessions, volunteering, and showing school spirit. 900 students from 9 Midwestern states as well as 4 Canadian provinces attended the conference. The gathering provides education and programming opportunities for college and university activity boards.
North Dakota State University has crowned a new champion, and it wasn't on the football field. Reporter Carly Lemkuhl has more on what it took to win this competition.
This isn't just the average pageant. It was a pageant consisting of 19 men. The stakes were high as the men competed to become the next top bison.
I think I should be the next top bison because I got the 3 B's: beauty, build, and bison pride.
The contestants showed off their bison pride, their dance moves, and strutted their stuff in formal wear for the judges to see.
This year we asked the student body vice president and president, and then we also have last year's winner and also the homecoming king and then a volunteer from the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
The judges got it down to the top 3 and then had the crowd choose the winner by cheering for the one they wanted.
I've been thinking and eating and sleeping and breathing Mr. NDSU for last 4 days. I'm just overwhelmed. I had so much support, and to hear the crowd yell for me, I mean, who am I, you know? So.
The students were nominated by a student organization on campus.
When Blue Key nominated me, I was really nervous. I can't do this. I'm not like this. I don't go up on stage and do this kind of stuff. Man, it has been so worth it.
With photographer Shoko Akiyama, Carly Lemkuhl, Campus News.
The pageant was put on by NDSU sorority Alpha Gamma Delta to raise money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And now we turn it over to CJ Pierre for a look at this week's sports.
Thanks, guys. The NDSU football team is preparing to defend its championship, and fans will get a preview of what to expect the 2012 season. The Bison will take the field in the Fargo Dome at 1 this afternoon for their annual spring game. Before the game, fans will get a chance to tailgate and take part in a Bison locker room sale for a chance to buy some Bison gear. All of today's events are free admission. Other area football teams are also holding their spring games this afternoon. The University of North Dakota Fighting Sioux are playing their spring game at 3 in the Alaris Center. Events begin at 11 this morning with the Sioux Football Tailgate Cook-Off Challenge. The Sioux are in their first year as a member of the Big Sky Conference and are eligible for Division I postseason play for the first time. Over in Minnesota, MSU Moorhead is gearing up for their season as well. The Dragons are playing their annual spring game today at 1 at Alex Nemzik Stadium. Steve Lockway is in his second year as head coach for the Dragons, who went 2-9 last season. MSU Moorhead basketball players spend a lot of time on the court, but they also spend time with local youth in the gym. Photojournalists Garrett Madison and Andreas Forried take us to the Dragon Dribblers basketball camp.
This way, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way.
We have our basketball camp, our Dragon Dribblers basketball camp. We do every Saturday morning before practice. Went really well today. We have a lot more kids than we did last year, so it's going really well.
What we do is we just try to teach them the fundamental skills of basketball and have a little fun with it and have our players involved with it. And it's a good time, and I think it helps our youth understand the game of basketball a little bit more.
I think it's a really good way to reach out to the community, the kids especially, because they look up to us, even if some of the guys don't really realize it, but they really do look up to us.
You guys excited? Having fun? Yeah?
We feel really good. I mean, we like to wake up in the morning and come and see some happy kids ready to learn and do some drills, so it's not too bad.
Hold him out, hold him out, hold him out. Get it. There you go. Who's that, offense or defense? Offense?
I think it's great, get these little kids exposed to basketball at a young age, learning from good basketball players how to play the game. I think it's awesome.
Let's hear it. There you go. Shuffle, 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 shuffle.
Kids really enjoy meeting the players and listening to the players about basketball. And I think it's good for our players too, because they get a chance to teach and understand what an impact they can have for our young kids.
1, 2, 3.
The next Dragon Dribblers camp is set to begin June 11th. An NDSU golfer is keeping herself in the national spotlight. Junior Amy Anderson won the Cretan Golf Classic in Omaha, Nebraska. This is the third straight time she's won the event. She finished 5 over par, but still finished 5 shots ahead of the second place finisher. The Bison women's golf team finished 4th at the event. One MSU Moorhead freshman recently found a fun way to encourage his fellow students to help their community. Sports reporter Macy Eglin tells us how they battled to benefit others.
Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. These 5 Ds of dodgeball were put to great use as men and women came together to donate as well as compete.
Thought, what would be big here at MSUM, and everyone I talked to in the residence halls said a dodgeball tournament. So I was like, I'm going to get what the people want,
Ready, dodgeball.
The event brought in donations as well as 6 creatively named teams ready to win the final prize.
This is my first, hosting an event. I'm a freshman. I felt really good about that. And then we had 2 trash cans full of clothes, so that's going to be a really good thing for the kids there.
Team Cream Dreamsicle in particular came with strong intentions of making it into the final game and winning it all.
We got this. We got it all the way. Dreamsicles, baby.
Fagini was right. During the final match, they won against Mach 5 and took home the prize any college student would appreciate: lightsabers and a wrestling belt. With photographer Dan Ziebel, I'm Macy Eglin, Campus News Sports.
The participants also took home free t-shirts. So how come we didn't see you guys out there with your dodgeball skills?
Well, me and Laura Lee were just asking the same thing. Where were you, CJ?
Well, I was out there in the background. You couldn't see me too well. I wasn't dressed very nice.
And we were moving so fast as lightning that you didn't see us.
Of course. Thank you, CJ. Yeah. 3 MSU Moorhead retirees have more in common than just their dragon ties. Together they make a path back to their childhoods, one track at a time.
This retired group of MSU Moorhead men can't seem to stay away from their old workplace, meeting almost every morning for coffee and catching up on their day-to-day lives. But 3 of them get together to share something else they have in common: toy trains. And this isn't just a recently developed hobby.
My parents bought me a Lionel train set when I was a kid in the 1950s.
I got into Lionel trains, toy trains, when I was 10 years old, back in 1951.
They even helped each other bring their common train love back to life.
Well, he suggested just bring it over one day. He looked at it briefly, did just a smallest amount of maintenance on it and put it on the track, and off it ran. And it was like, wow, to see my old train come spring to life again, 50 years later almost. It was pretty exciting.
And it's not just the trains that make this setup fun and interesting.
So that coal loader is, 60 years old. It's almost as old as I am. It'll sweep out the chicken cart.
With all this excitement, it's easy for them to decide how to spend their spare time.
I have to choose. Should I spend my money on trains or go to the bar and gamble? And I've chosen to go with the trains. Off to West Fargo to the stockyards.
So as soon as my son went off to law school, I got his bedroom. And so it's full of trains now. I'd like to make it bigger, but my wife won't let me put a hole in the wall and go into my daughter's old bedroom.
And even if they can't go on a real train, having their model ones, for them, is a very close second.
At night, with the lights flashing and the sounds of the Lionel trains, it's pretty, and it really conjures up some great memories. So yes, sir, you can just close your eyes and it takes you right back to the 50s. So.
It's so much fun, you know, to be on the train. And if you can't be on it, you can, in a sense, live that journey by putting on the train music, putting on the hat, lighting the lantern, turning the lights out, crank these guys up, and you're on that train, at least in your mind you're on that train.
Today there are 500,000 model railroaders and toy train hobbyists in the U.S. and Canada. So do you guys have any toys that you're still passionate about?
Well, I had my old Ninja Turtles that I used to play with all the time, but those are long gone, kind of, sort of.
How about you, Chelsea?
I guess just Barbies and my Skip It.
It's hard to let go of those Barbies, I'll tell you that much. And that's it for this edition of Campus News.
We leave you with footage from the Concordia Handbell Choir concert.
Thanks for joining us and have a great week.
Campus News is produced by the Television News Workshop in the Department of Mass Communications at Minnesota State University Moorhead in cooperation with Prairie Public Television.